Welcome back to Boilers and Beyond. I'm Jordan Jones. There will be players on the field this week at the Kozic Football Performance Complex. Purdue opens fall camp on Thursday, and I'm here to preview all of the biggest storylines entering practice and tell you who these players are that will be donning the gold and black this fall. Plus, what did we learn from Big Ten Media Days? All of that and more here on the show today. Let's dive on in. If you don't, be sure to follow the show on Twitter at Boilers Beyond. As we get closer to the season here, we're going to be talking more and more over there. Come join the conversation. Send over your questions for the show. Planning to do a big mailbag there on game week at the end of August. Send over your questions. Boilers Beyond on Twitter. boilersandbeyondpod@gmail.com. And be sure to subscribe where you don't miss a thing. We will be here every week between now all the way through the end of basketball season and beyond. So make sure you don't miss an episode. I wanted to start here with looking at Big Ten Media Days, a little bit understated of a Big Ten Media Days, a rather uneventful group. Not a whole lot came out of it. Barry Odom's podium session didn't reveal a whole lot. Very scripted. He didn't leave a whole lot of time for questions. In the Big Ten, you only get 15 minutes at the podium. It must feel like a breeze compared to his time at the SEC and all that comes with SEC Media Days compared to the Big Ten. He was very complimentary and appreciative of the media, and that's been interesting to hear from him. That's not something you hear a lot from coaches. It's not something you hear a lot in general. The media has been very villainized in today's society. He's been very, very appreciative of the media, something that I think is pretty cool that he does. He was asked about the health of the roster. He had a breakout session with a lot of the local guys, Tom Dienhart, Sam King, Nathan Baird, maybe some more in there. And he got asked about the health of the roster. It's in great shape right now. Only one player who wouldn't be able to practice if camp started last week. That's a true freshman tight end. He's going to be out for a while. The notable takeaway from that is that George Burhan is good to go. The talented, athletic tight end from out at Mount Vernon. He's going to be Purdue's most dynamic weapon on offense coming into the season. Does that mean that's going to be the way it plays out? Maybe not. But he is Purdue's best playmaker entering this season. He's healthy. That's been a challenge for him going through his career at Purdue. Purdue's going to hope that he can be healthy this year to really contribute in a big way. As you'd expect, this is a program that's well aware that it's been picked to finish last. As you'd expect, though, Barry Odom believes that Purdue can be better than that. And rightfully, he believes that Purdue is a totally different team from last season. However you feel about Purdue's preseason outlook, this is a very different team than the one that took the field last fall. This team looks nothing like the group that walked off the field at Memorial Stadium having lost 66-0 in the final game of the season. He brought up scheduling, and this was the biggest takeaway was just the Big Ten versus SEC debate and how it pertains to everything in the grand scheme of things with the college football playoff, with the scheduling agreements, all of that. Barry Odom was one who said he believes he wants everyone to play the same amount of games in conference play. The Big Ten coaches were lockstep on this. There was no diverging from the company script at this one. The Big Ten coaches were lockstep. And he did not show any appetite to cancel some of Purdue's future non-conference schedules. And I'm planning on talking more about scheduling philosophy and such and what the future looks like on a schedule preview podcast here in a couple of weeks. He said, quote, "It's my job to get our team ready to go play winning football," end quote. He wants an appealing non-conference schedule, and he said all the right things, wants to play games that fans can go see, said that the schedule is pretty much set for the next 4 or 5 years, and that's been corroborated. That's the case. There hasn't been much discussion internally about changing that. And he would like balance, but you don't know how good teams are going to be in the future. I thought it was interesting because there are a lot of seasons coming up where Purdue has 11 power conference opponents on the schedule. That is a lot. That is a challenge for him. Whether he will say it or not, that is an uphill battle for him to fight as it comes to winning at Purdue. He spoke very positively of Purdue's approach to revenue sharing with administration. He spoke highly of everyone in the athletic department, spoke very highly of the management within the program. Barry Odom came across well. There really, though, wasn't a lot of news. And Tony Petitti, the Big Ten commissioner, he doesn't talk much. He doesn't come out and speak publicly a whole lot. And he did here. He came out and talked. And he talked about his preferred college playoff format. He wants the 4-4-2-2-1 format that would guarantee 4 auto bids to the Big Ten, would reduce the number of at-large spots are available. He talked about play-in games for the number 3 and 4 spots from the Big Ten. Look, I'll be honest here. He came across like an NFL guy, which he is. So like a TV guy, which he is. A lot of this is very anti what college sports has always been. And you can easily make the argument that what college sports have always been is dead. And that it's all becoming professionalized. And you won't get a whole lot of pushback from me on that. I don't know. I don't love the idea that when you look at last season, Iowa, who was incredibly average, would have just had to beat Indiana. And that point spread wouldn't have been massive. I mean, it would have been completely on the table that Iowa could have won that game. The Big Ten is not backing up its claim that it's the best conference in college football, which I find interesting because in theory, the more at-large bids, if you're the best league, you're going to get those. The Big Ten would scoop those up. So it is a little bit interesting here, but ultimately, this is going to be a Big Ten versus SEC match, and the Big Ten is on an island right now. They're the lone conference holding out here, so it'll be interesting to see where things go there. But enough with that. Let's talk about on-the-field stuff. Purdue opens fall camp on Thursday. Practices begin July 31st. Season opener August 30. High noon against the Cardinals of Ball State at Ross-Ade Stadium. And where else would we start besides the quarterback battle that Purdue will have here in fall camp? Does Ryan Brown lock down the competition and win the job? Barry Odom said he wants to have this thing solved sooner rather than later. He wants to name a quarterback. If you ask me, Ryan Brown didn't transfer to become a backup. Would he have started at UNC? It doesn't appear so. Belichick and company went out and got Gio Lopez as a perceived upgrade over Ryan Brown. So it doesn't look like he would have started there. But would he have left to not be a starter at Purdue? I don't know. I don't know that Purdue would have gone out and gotten him if he wasn't the front runner to start, though. It was not exactly a secret that during spring practice, the quarterbacks on the roster did not impress. Purdue needs good quarterback play if it wants to have better than the type of season that's being expected of it. Could this change based on fall camp performance? Of course. Ryan Brown wasn't around for spring practice. Purdue has not seen him lined up against Malachi Singleton, against Evans Chuba. It's going to be interesting to see how this goes. Ryan Brown seems to fit what Purdue wants to do a little bit. Purdue's been vocal. It wants to run the football. It wants to establish the run We know Ryan Brown can run. We saw that against Illinois and Oregon. The questions more exist in the passing game. Is that a strength of his at this point? We don't know. It would not be a good sign if Brown doesn't win the job, if you ask me, because that would be a sign that he wasn't able to lock it down and that the guys that Purdue got him to beat out are the guys that are going to play. That would be a bad sign, if you ask me. Barry Odom did bring up that Purdue needs multiple guys to be ready to play. And, of course, we all know the stat. Purdue hasn't had the same quarterback start all 12 games since David Blau did so back in 2016. Purdue's going to need multiple quarterbacks, just more than likely. That's what the odds tell you. The skill position competitions are interesting. We know Devin Maccabee. He will open as Purdue's top running back. He is less than 1,200 yards away from becoming the all-time leading rusher at Purdue. Just crazy. Crazy to think about that. He's had a wonderful career at Purdue, man. He's a media day veteran. He's been to a few of those now. He deserves all of the praise that he's gotten. Who gets those number 2 reps, though? Antonio Harris, walk-on from Southern Indiana, has gotten some good buzz. And then Malachi Thomas is someone who played 4 years at Virginia Tech, had about 250 carries or so for the Hokies, but he played in 4 seasons. He's an experienced guy. Is that group enough? Jaheim Merriweather's still around. He was a true freshman last season. Is that group enough? It is not like running back has been a tremendous position for Purdue outside of Maccabee in recent memory. If Purdue wants to run the ball, where is it at there? And on the outside, catching passes, we talked about Burren. If he can stay healthy, he's a massive weapon for Purdue. That's big time. If he can stay healthy, that's going to be the key for him because we're getting to the point where the oft-injured tag probably has to be on there. He got hurt in spring practice. He was dinged up last season. I'm excited to see Nitro Tuggle. Of course, if you haven't picked up on it, anyone from the 574 area code will get bonus points on this here program, especially someone from the Northern Lakes Conference like Nitro Tuggle coming out of Northwood High School. He's talented. He's really talented. There's a reason everyone wanted him out of high school. Purdue would have loved to get him out of high school. He goes down to Athens, Georgia. It's hard to blame him. The place is incredible down there. And doesn't really do much. Caught 3 passes against Tennessee. Nothing doing the rest of the year. He's back up in Indiana playing for Purdue. But, man, I watched that Tennessee game. I remember watching it, and he looked good. He looked comfortable out there, and that was a good Tennessee defense. He is going to have an opportunity to be Purdue's number 1 guy from day one. He has to go out and earn it, but that opportunity is right there for him. I'm very interested in Charles Ross and Chauncey Magwood coming from Southern Cal and Central Florida. I always think it's notable when guys come with coordinators, position coaches, the head coach. I think that's the case for all of the UNLV guys. I think that's the case with these two as well. Charles Ross comes in with Josh Henson from Southern Cal. Chauncey Magwood comes in from Central Florida with Darren Hinshaw. There's a reason that those coaches brought these two around on the offensive side of the football in the passing game where these guys were both involved at their previous schools. They like what they see enough there to bring these guys along. I think that means there's at least a high floor for what they can be this year in this offense. You have Denylon Morissette back. He is the leading receiver, wide receiver, from last year's team. I think he caught 11 passes. So there's some turnover here, folks. He's back. Michael Jackson is another Georgia transfer, not the one from Gary, Indiana. Not the moonwalk, but Purdue will hope Michael Jackson can moonwalk into the end zone this season. We'll see. This wide receiver room is a whole lot of unknown. The offensive line, though, it's easy to be high on the offensive line until you see them in practice, but there are some interesting pieces here. Joey Tanona is coming off his first season post-car accident. Remember, he's the transfer from Notre Dame who was in a car accident, medically retired, came out of retirement to play for Purdue last year. This is year 2 for him. He should, in theory, look more comfortable out there, be in more of a rhythm out there. Can he be a starter? I'm very interested to see Marquise Easley. He was a big-time recruit out of high school from the Chicagoland area. Purdue wanted him badly. He went to Georgia. Now he's back at Purdue. Can he be someone who starts? We're talking about like a 340-pounder out there. He is a unit. If he's ready to play, that would be a really nice positive. There are a lot of veterans on the interior of the offensive line. Bakine Coley is still around. Super long, super big, 6'7" guy. Transferred in from the D2 level a couple years back. I'm curious to see if he's ready to really contribute after having to transform his body for a while. But what does this offense look like? That's the question. There's a ton of roster turnover here. The team chemistry, the offensive cohesion, that's going to be a real challenge for Purdue during camp. But what does Purdue want to do schematically? We don't have a ton of history on what Josh Henson wants to do as a play caller. It's been a long time since he called plays. The game has changed since he called plays. What does the offense look like? Ultimately, if Purdue doesn't get at least decent quarterback play, I don't know that this offense has a chance. I don't, unless the offensive line is legitimately good, which hasn't been the case at Purdue for a long time, like a legitimately top half of the Big Ten offensive line, I don't know that you're just going to be able to run the ball. You have to be able to throw it to spark some upsets here and exceed these low expectations. That's going to be Purdue's biggest thing, but I'm fascinated to see what this offense looks like when we see Purdue take the field here in a month. This episode is brought to you by me, yes, me. When I'm not watching sports, or more accurately talking about them, I'm talking insurance with the people of Indiana. As an agent with Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance, I want to help you what you've worked hard to achieve. From home and auto to life and business insurance, I'm here to help you. Give me a call at 317-846-5861 or email me, jordan.jones@infarmbureau.com. Let's protect you from life's everyday risks. Defensively, I'm very curious to see what type of a scheme Purdue's going to deploy. Barry Odom has really mixed it up during his career. He is not married to one particular type of defense. He has done a little bit of everything. He's done odd man fronts. He's done even man fronts. I heard a really good anecdote on a podcast recently about when he was at Arkansas, playing against Ole Miss, when Ole Miss had Matt Corral and they really threw it around a ton. He came into the game knowing they needed to drop everybody and confuse Matt Corral in coverages. And even throughout the game, when he's ready to blitz, when he's ready to get after it, he's got someone holding him back, just telling him, keep dropping max coverage. It worked. Arkansas won that game. And I vaguely remember watching that back in 2020. That's where I'm interested to see, because we don't know what this group looks like. We don't know what the strengths are. We don't know what the weaknesses are. There are so many unknowns here on this defense. There are some interesting pieces up front. C.J. Madden and Trey Smith return as guys that the previous staff liked as pass rushers. You add in Breon Ishmael from Michigan. You add in a couple other transfers, C.J. Nunnally from Akron. There's the guy from North Texas. His name's escaping me right now. Some pass rushers here that are intriguing. There are more pieces back on the interior of the defensive line than anywhere else. Jamarion Harkless is still around. D'Amico Kennedy, young guy. Jamarius Dinkins, Drake Carlson. A lot of guys coming back at this spot a little bit, but Purdue brought in help too. TJ Lindsey is a really intriguing redshirt freshman from Auburn. He seems like an instant impact guy. Yes, he's younger, but there's some real upside there that other guys just don't have on this roster. There's talk that he's an NFL guy. That's big early on. A lot of questions around him, though. A couple of D2 transfers, a couple of FCS transfers. This is going to be big, man. You have to be able to compete in the trenches in this conference. You can win without it. It's possible. It's very difficult. Purdue needs to be better in the trenches. It's a really hard spot to be good at. I do think the portal can help you with your top line on the trenches, but you lose depth. This is not going to be a deep group. Purdue's going to need to stay healthy up there. But how good can the ones be on the defensive line, at the defensive end spot? As I said, it's critical that Purdue generate a pass rush. If you're trying to pull upsets against a schedule where right now Purdue's an underdog in 10 of its 12 games. I saw a projection that has Purdue an underdog in 10 of 12, a double-digit underdog in 9 of those. The only one Purdue wouldn't be a double-digit underdog in was Northwestern. So if that's the case, you're going to have to find ways to pull upsets. Getting pressure on the passer is a big way to do that. Purdue got a really big ad out of the spring portal. Sanders Ellis from Tennessee State, another young guy. One of the themes here is that Purdue did take a lot of young guys who are like a year in to their college careers out of the portal with the hope of developing them. Now, part of that, admittedly here, is going to be the ability to hold on to them after this year. But if Purdue can do so, this could be a really wise strategy. Sanders Ellis was really desired out of Tennessee State, one of the best freshmen in the FCS. He racked up a boatload of stats. 86 tackles, 15 and a half for loss. Conference Defensive Freshman of the Year. He's really intriguing. Tennessee wanted him. Auburn wanted him. Purdue hasn't often gotten guys like this. That's a big one. I'd expect him to be a day one starter for Purdue. The linebacking group is interesting because it is all transfers. Purdue had nothing in this room because Purdue's last staff didn't prioritize linebackers. It was what it was. That was the scheme they wanted to deploy. The proof was in the pudding. We saw how it worked. But it's not like Purdue had recruited linebackers the past couple cycles. So that's going to be an interesting spot to watch. A lot of new faces there. Perhaps the name I'm most curious to see on the defense, Tony Grimes, corner. He was a 5-star recruit 5 years ago now, coming out of high school, went to North Carolina, started for a couple seasons there, went to A&M as part of Jimbo Fisher's last gasp portal class that they spent a whole lot of money on. He didn't play there. He was injured, did not play, went to UNLV, put together a nice season for Barry Odom. Again, with the guys coming along with their coach. My hunch here is that Tony Grimes can be a leader for this defense, that he can be someone with familiarity of this defense that can help Purdue get adjusted to it, that can help lead. He's played a lot of college football. And whether his career has gone the way he hoped, I don't know. With those 5 stars, a lot of times your hope is to be 3 and done. That hasn't been his path, but he's had a very nice career. He's played good football, and now he has a chance to go out on a really positive note. Can he do so? That would be a big deal. Besides him, it is a massive question mark in the secondary. We saw a bizarre story come out this past week with Purdue safety Taj Ra'el being accused of leaking a playbook last season when he was at Memphis to UTSA's quarterback. I have no idea what to make of this. Purdue released a statement that essentially supported Taj Rael, said that Purdue doesn't find it to be a big deal. I think mischaracterization is the term that was used. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not here to speculate, but that's noteworthy because he's a projected starter, I believe. Crew Wakely has played a lot of football coming in from BYU. You've got Hudari Hines at corner, Smiley Bradford at safety, a couple of guys who were true freshmen last season sticking around. Can they be ready to take a step up? The secondary is a giant question mark. It is a big, big question mark. Going to play a big role. You look at some of these teams Purdue plays, there are teams that want to throw the ball on you. Illinois is going to want to throw the ball. Indiana is going to want to throw the ball. Oregon, Ohio State, they would like to throw the ball on you. Purdue's going to have to be better defensively in the secondary, and that USC with Lincoln Riley. Can the secondary be ready to go early on? Special teams are always an interesting one. Up and down freshman year for Spencer Porath. He has to prove that he can be the guy. Purdue really liked him. The last staff really liked him when he came in. Is he ready to be the guy? It's an open competition at punter. Purdue replaces its long snapper. Nick Levy moved on. Who's the long snapper now? A lot of questions about the return game. The return game has been a massive weakness for Purdue. Tyrone Tracy took one all the way. That's the only one Purdue has had since 2013. Purdue hasn't returned a punt for a touchdown since 2009. Last year's special teams were just terrible for Purdue. That cannot be the case again this year. However Purdue wants to go about it, special teams has to be better than it was last season. And again, it's a daunting schedule that Purdue's getting ready to play. You have 2 games to ease in. You better be ready. You better be ready to go. It's going to be fascinating to see what we hear coming out of camp. And as always, the number one key for fall practice, stay healthy. It was Garrett Miller going down a couple years ago. Nyland Green went down early last year and was very slow starting. CJ Smith got hurt in fall camp, as I recall. Barely played a role because of that. Can Purdue avoid injuries? That is a major, major part of this. You want to get lucky, you want to have a better season than you're projected to. Health is the biggest part of that. Can you stay healthy? Purdue's going to hope that it can. Looking forward to next week's show, guys. That's about all I've got here to preview fall camp. There are just so many questions. This is such a new team. We don't know what to expect, and that's part of the fun here. For all of the hand-wringing about this program and what the roster looks like now, did you really want Purdue to just run it back with guys that went 1-11 last year? There were players on that team you want to keep, no doubt. But if you're Purdue, I think you've got to be all right with where you're at here. Next week on the show, Brett Ciancia from Pick Six Previews, the best in the business. He's going to be on the podcast. He's previewed Purdue in great detail. We'll talk to him about that. We'll talk to him about the Big Ten, the national landscape of the sport, what he saw as an outsider who's well-connected with the Ryan Walters era. Really looking forward to that conversation. That'll be in your feed on Monday. Got a couple more previews. The countdown to kickoff is on, guys. It is almost the best time of year. College football season. Looking forward to it. Until next week, send over questions on Twitter at BoilersBeyond. Follow on Twitter. Email the show, boilersandbeyondpod@gmail.com, and subscribe so that you don't miss it. Until next week, guys, take care.